What's up, guys? I have a video for you. This is probably one that you should watch after watching parts 1 and 2 of the quadratic formula, quadratic equation. But it's definitely a good one for you to know about. So we have this idea of the number of solutions to a quadratic equation. I'm going to graph it. Whenever you give me a quadratic equation and I have access to a grapher like Desmos, that's going to come up. And so I plug it in. In this case, it went by so fast, but the zeros are the x-intercepts. So you just got to find them on the graph. Feel free to go back and look at anything at any time. In a previous video, I told you what the story was to help you remember the quadratic formula in the fact that, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. If you identify a, b, and c from the equation, you plug it in. But this video is going a little further. This one's on something called the discriminant. And the discriminant is actually the number that's inside the square root, inside the parentheses of the square root, whatever. So in this case, 10 squared minus 4 times 6 times negative 1, which is positive 124. What does that mean if the discriminant's positive? What is the shape of the quadratic if it is positive? So bring up Desmos. And something really helpful with Desmos is you can go a equals, b equals, c equals. You can write a general formula, f of x equals a times x squared plus b times x plus c. Then you can write the quadratic equation, get it memorized. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And the second one, the difference between the red and the blue, if you can see them, is that one's positive, one's negative. But we can actually calculate the discriminant with Desmos. Calculating the discriminant is just the piece, the part, under the square root. So b squared minus 4 times a times c. When does the discriminant ever become negative or 0? Actually, I kind of show right there. You look at that. If the quadratic equation is above the x-axis and never crosses the x-axis, the discriminant is undefined. If the or negative, I should say, negative. If the discriminant is 0, it's exactly touching the x-axis, and that's actually what we get out of this question. The discriminant was 0 because the graph was exactly touching the x-axis. You have access to this whole structure now in Desmos. Desmos is amazingly powerful and simple. Other graphing calculators, they can do this too. They're just a little bit more complicated at accessing that feature. Desmos is just right there on the surface. So plug it in, use it to your advantage. If the quadratic equation crosses the x-axis, there it is. This video has been brought to you by the meme, how clear I feel my instructions are and what happens when my students do their assignments. Thank you for watching. Thank you for doing some math with me. See you in the next video.